Today we're going to talk about how easy it is to make elderberry-infused honey. So let's jump right in. First, you're going to need some dried elderberries, and I got these from Mountain Rose Herbs. If you have a store that is local to you, that's a great resource. I do have a local store, Nature's Way Market. However, they were out of elderberries, so I did order these from Mountain Rose Herbs. You're also going to need some raw honey. Local honey is best. I also got this at my local store, but I also have a lot of beekeepers around me because I used to be a beekeeper. So I have a lot of resources for raw local honey, so that's great for me. And you're also going to need an empty jar and a nice long spoon. So this is really very simple. And before we get started, I'll just go over a couple of the helpful properties of elderberries. They are antiviral, antibiotic, antibacterial. They also help protect against free radicals that damage healthy cells. There was a study done in 2009, and they were among the most potent cancer-fighting fruits, along with blueberries, red raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, and as I mentioned, elderberry was also on that list, so that's great. They are also an immune stimulator, and that means they stimulate the immune system. So if you have an autoimmune disease or condition, you may want to stay away from elderberry or use it in small quantities, because when you have an autoimmune disease, your immune system is already kicked up into high gear. So you don't really want to stimulate it more. Whether you choose to do that or not, I have hypothyroidism, and that is considered an autoimmune condition as well. But I do use elderberry. You need to make those choices for yourself. And this is a good time to remind you, be sure to review the disclaimer that you'll find at the end of this video. So we have our empty jar. What size jar that you use is going to depend on how much you want to make. I'm making a smaller jar today because I already have several jars in the works. You want to make sure that your jar is sterilized, and there'll be another video at some point on easy ways to sterilize your jars. So I'm going to go ahead and take my dried elderberries. You want to use dried whenever you're making an infused honey, because if you use fresh herbs, you're getting into a different process, and that is fermented honey. So we'll talk about that on another video, but use dried. So here we have the dried berries, and you're going to want to fill your jar about a half to, I should say 1/3 to a half, depending on how much you want to use. I'm just going to use the rest that I have in this jar. And then you're going to take your raw honey. And again, this is about half this time. And you're going to fill the rest of your jar with your raw honey. And you may have a little bit of a sticky mess, which I usually do. I end up wiping everything down. Right now, my hands are sticky. So then you're going to take your spoon and you're going to mix this up a bit just to make it easier for the honey to get down into those elderberries and get into all that goodness. And so I'm just going to mix this around. Incorporate all those beautiful berries into the honey. And as you can see, I can then top my jar off with additional honey as well, which we'll do in a minute. Just give me a minute here to get this stickiness off of the spoon. All right. So I am going to top my jar off. Looks like I need another run to the store for some honey, or to one of my local beekeepers. The honey that they sell at the store is also from a local beekeeper, so I'm keeping it in the area. And then you want to close up your jar tightly, and there you have it. Now, each day or every couple of days, or whenever you happen to walk by your honey, you want to turn it upside down or back right side to make sure that everything gets incorporated. It's good to keep this in kind of a warmer area in your house. I like to do infused honeys during the winter, and then I set them by my pellet stove, which tends to be a warmer area of my house. But you don't really want to heat honey because you don't want to destroy any of the beneficial properties. But keeping it in a warm area helps it infuse better and makes it easier to strain when it's time. So this is our fresh jar. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, the other thing you're going to want is some labels, and I use these freezer labels that I got on Amazon, and I'll put a link in the comments below because they're super easy to remove, and I can use and reuse. And I'm just going to label this Elderberry-Infused Honey, and you're going to put a date on it. Now, you're going to want to infuse this for probably 4 to 6 weeks. Longer doesn't hurt anything if, you know, you tend to forget about it like I sometimes do. But to really get that flavor, you're going to want to infuse it for 4 to 6 weeks. So you can either put the date that you've made it, which today is March 7th, and then take note of that date and maybe add on your calendar when it'll be time to strain it. Or you can take a look at your calendar, which I'm not going to do now, and write the date that it will be done on your label. So make sure you label your jars because it is easy to forget, and time passes and you'll forget when you put this up to infuse. So there we have it. There's the finished product. And again, remember, as you're leaving it sit for those 4 to 6 weeks, take the time to invert the jar on a regular basis. So this jar, as you can see, this jar has been sitting for a couple of days, and you can see that the elderberries have kind of floated to the top. So now I'll invert it this way and the elderberries will eventually sink. And then I also wanted to show you a completed version of the honey. And it is really a lovely color. It smells wonderful. And you can use this honey in anything that you would normally use honey in, whether it's tea or you want to take a spoonful or whatever you use honey in. But you can see the difference in the colors here, so that you can see that the elderberry has infused in there quite nicely and made it a beautiful color. And when you're done, depending on your quantities or what you want to do with it, if you want to give this as a gift, and if you happen to eat Oui or Nouns yogurt, you can repurpose these yogurt jars and buy these beautiful little lids on Amazon to make them pretty. Right now I have burdock root in this one. This is the only one I happen to have right next to me. So just so you can see that. They make beautiful gifts. Who wouldn't love some elderberry honey for a gift? And my spoon is now dirty, so I'm going to use my finger and just show you. So if you can see that, look at that beautiful color. And I'm going to, yum, so good. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. If I remember anything additional, I will add it to the comments, but that's pretty much it. So easy to make elderberry infused honey or any herbal infused honey. And there's a variety of options you can use. As I said, remember to use dried for the honey, unless you're getting into fermentation. So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you'll like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Many blessings. Stay well. Bye-bye.